Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Clappercast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Burke.
And this week, we don't have a whole lot going on in the NHL. It's been a mix of the All-Star break and bye weeks for both of the teams, but we do have some big topics, mostly around the All-Star game and the Edmonton Oilers finally firing Peter Chiarelli. So with those being the two major topics of the week, we'll probably cover them closer in a few more minutes. But first, today's big news anyways. Jake Muzzin got traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Carl Grundstrom, a prospect that I'm not sure his name off the top of my head, and their first-round pick this year.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that Muzzin is a solid pickup for them. And then my first reaction was I thought it was a bit of an overpay, but I actually think that the Leafs kind of not fleeced, but both teams got a good haul. It's pretty equal.
I think that's a fair point. Both teams got what they need now.
Yeah.
The Leafs are clearly in win-now mode. They're trying to shore up their defense. They're not afraid to give up prospects for talent now. So they're going to go all in on that. And the Kings are probably admitting that they need to do a little bit of retooling as their core gets older. So they're going to pick up some prospects to help fill up the farm system. And, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Leafs got a really good deal out of that.
Yeah, and it was good for them because they didn't have to give up a roster player. I know that everyone knew that they were kind of looking for a right-hand D, and it was rumored that a lot of teams were probably going to want Kapanen or even like Will Nye, the science guy.
I keep seeing like Nylander and Marner too because they're going to have trouble signing him under the cap.
Yeah, so Nylander and Kapanen were the guys that I saw brought up a lot. And there was rumors that Dougie Hamilton and what's Pesky or
Pesci.
Pesci, yeah.
Pesci, yeah.
But they ended up getting a left-handed D who can play both sides of the ice.
Yeah, I've heard Muzzin's about as versatile a defenseman as you're gonna get. Like he's good offensively, he's good defensively, with and without the puck, both sides of the ice. He can pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to slot in immediately on their top pairing with Riley, I think that's going to be a huge upgrade for their defensive core moving forward.
Yeah, Muzzin seems like a pretty good all-around D-man. He's got some offensive capabilities, and he's also a tank to hit.
Yeah, he's big.
And from what I've seen, that he's a really well-liked D-man, and he can play with Doughty. So he can play with that all-star caliber.
Yeah, he can be second fiddle.
Yeah. So I think good pickup for the Leafs, and it's really scary that they didn't have to give up anybody really important. And I just looked it up, and Sean Durzi,
okay,
was the prospect. He's in the OHL right now. He's a D-man. I think he's lighting it up, but I believe he is overage.
Okay.
But I think he is a Toronto guy, so Leafs management was pretty high on him.
Well, Muzzin's also a Toronto guy, so
yeah.
Yeah, Muzzin
everybody
was a
in the league's a Toronto guy. That's why there's always rumors that they're all going to go there.
Who is not from the greater Toronto area, like, really? I think one other noteworthy point about Muzzin is that he's got a $4 million cap hit or contract, and he's signed through the end of next season. So this isn't even just a rental. They're getting a solid player going into next year as well.
Which is interesting because normally when that's the case, there's a bit more of an overpay.
Very true.
And in this case, it seems pretty balanced.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot about Grundstrom, so maybe he's like a really highly touted prospect in the NHL. But
yeah, from what I've seen, maybe middle six guy down the road, but kind of no spot for him right now.
Yeah, they needed a better defenseman now, and he wasn't able to be that guy.
Yeah, I think right now though, like the Leafs only have Zaitsev as a right-handed D.
So they don't have a right-handed D.
And Zaitsev's contract is brutal.
Yeah.
So
well, he got a long-term, like he's not making a whole lot, but he got a long-term deal for not a whole lot of experience, I think.
Yeah, he got a long contract with quite a bit of money for only having played one season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And even from the get-go, that contract was talked about as being a little ridiculous.
A bit premature, probably.
Yeah. But, I mean, right-hand D, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But, yeah. So their only right-hand D is Zaitsev, so now they have probably pairings of Riley and Muzzin.
Yep.
Gardiner and Zaitsev, or
I want to say Dermott was on the second pairing.
Yeah.
There was practice line combinations on Twitter. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. So probably Ron Hainsey bumped down to third
Yes,
pairing.
that is one thing I did see, that
And
he's on the third
either
pairing.
Dermott or Zaitsev down there with him to develop their D
And
ability.
that's another thing too, is Muzzin's been in the league a few years, so he's experienced, and he will be a pretty good presence for some of these younger defensemen to learn from, especially with him being decent in all facets of the game, that he'll be able to help develop all-around defensemen for the Leafs.
Yeah, and a cup winner.
Yeah, that's
I guess
that's
Ron
huge.
Hainsey is though too, but
Yeah.
Yeah, top sniper Ron Hainsey. So yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely in a better spot now because they didn't have to give up any significant forwards. And yeah, that first round pick always looks pretty striking, but
It does.
when
and
you think
then,
of how good Toronto is this year,
yeah, that pick is likely going to be probably 23 plus,
yeah,
because they're probably going to make it to the second round, I imagine.
we'll see. Unless
So-
they meet Boston first round,
Very
then,
true.
then probably not.
We'll see what happens there, but
They'll get close.
there is basically like a valuation tool for draft picks, and the late first rounders, like that pick is likely going to be, are basically no more valuable than a second round pick. So yeah, it says first round, but it's a late first round.
Yeah, for sure. Another trade is Jamie Oleksiak is going home
For
to the Dallas Stars, and he got traded for the pick he was originally traded for
last season. I like that trade.
Yeah, so it shows that neither team thinks he regressed
Yeah.
or progressed. He's
You are in
just
exactly
the same
the same
guy.
spot.
So
only-
fourth round pick, right?
Yeah, it was a fourth rounder.
So fourth round pick, originally Pittsburgh's, that went to Dallas for Jamie Oleksiak, and now Jamie Oleksiak is being picked or traded back for that pick.
Yep.
So
Except this
everything
time he
is
has
going
a-
back to where
Yeah.
all is right in the world.
Exactly nothing has changed, except
Yeah.
that Oleksiak now has a longer contract.
Dallas Stars didn't say no take backsies,
Yeah, exactly.
and or I guess Pittsburgh said no take backsies. So anyway,
That was just
It's,
that's just a fun trade.
yeah, interesting. I don't know if that's happened before.
Not off the top of my head.
I
It's
don't think
probably
so.
it's probably happened like some weird like trade and then immediately picked up on waivers or something after, like where the
Yeah.
guy ends up on the same team after a couple of days or something.
Because plenty of guys have wound up where they were before, but to be traded for the exact same thing,
I think that's the condition that makes it highly unlikely.
so I mean, Oleksiak gets some playoff experience. Lost to the Capitals in the second round.
You just got to make sure we point that out.
Yeah. Did not get to fight Tom Wilson, and Jim Rutherford was upset that Tom Wilson turned him down, and then this season he did not turn him down and, blew the wheels off of him. So just got to point that out. The big rig's not a great fighter. And that's something that Muzzin too. Like Muzzin's big, but he can scrap, but he's not very good at it.
Mm.
So I was trying to think of who on the Leafs would be their fighter at this point, if they even have one.
I don't think
it's
they
like-
do.
It's like it's not Kadri,
No,
but he's the guy who would be
he will,
pushing
but
the
won't.
buttons.
He's not. Yeah.
Like
'Cause-
Ron Hainsey has fought this season, but he's again not good at it.
Yeah. Who did it used to be? Because it was Martin.
Ty
Right?
Domi?
It was like Komarov and Martin, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now I don't. They don't really have anyone.
Yeah, I mean you don't really need one.
No, not anymore. It's decent to have one, but it's usually just a guy who's also good at fighting as well as playing hockey.
Yeah, although it will be a talking point in playoffs if someone
Don Cherry's gonna.
dumps
gonna-
Matthews or Tavares or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don Cherry will have a segment on that. You can predict that pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you can debate the purpose of a fighter in today's game, but it's kind of strikes me as a little bit strange that there isn't anybody on there that just instantly comes to your head. A lot of teams, they have that guy.
Edmonton has about 6.
Yeah. I mean, for the Caps, it's pretty obvious. Don't even have to name the name.
Yeah.
Vegas, same thing. But I'd say most teams have that guy. So, yeah.
Like someone that you would expect to, or just think of.
Yeah. So, anyway, just kind of interesting. 2 big D men moving around the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll jump right into the All-Star game. I have to admit, again, my streak is alive. I didn't watch it. It was on in the background, but I didn't really pay attention. I saw a few things here and there, and then I saw some clips online. But yeah, what did you think of it? Because I know you watched a lot of it.
Yeah, so the skills competition overall was an absolute bore. There was the one challenge that was kind of exciting that let players do stuff, the breakaway challenge. That's not in there. I don't know how long that's been going on because I don't pay close enough attention, but it's not there. So
save streak now.
It's a save streak. So it's kind of the intentions flipped, and the guys aren't, rolling down with Superman capes and sunglasses and hats.
Yeah,
all the fun things NHLers do.
More for the goalies than the shooters, which is strange because there's less goalies than shooters.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of like the goalie faces the entire division, and then if there's a save streak going at the end of the list, they just keep going until there's a goal let in. So it's basically just a bunch of guys coming in and shooting 5-hole until someone scores.
Lundqvist won that, right?
Yeah, he did. And yeah, so another competition, the passing accuracy one.
I heard about this.
Yeah, so just talking about the event in general, I have to admit it is actually really boring to watch.
Yeah.
The only time it's really interesting or funny to watch, at least, is if someone kind of just gets rattled a bit, misses a few passes, and then they end up stuck on the last part of the competition for like a minute and a half. But the rest of it, it's pretty boring in terms of what you're like watching a skills competition. You're just watching someone stand there and flip sauces over a board for 30, 45 seconds.
It's impressive, but it's like watching a practice. Like I never really got the purpose of going to watch a practice unless you're going strictly for like an autograph or something.
Yeah.
But going to watch practice, like I've played and been to practices, and like why would you want to watch that? It's just working on drills, working on like dump-ins, working on retrievals, working on stuff like that. Like it's the skills comp is like less the drills, but it's still practice.
I think like fastest skate or hardest shot accuracy shooting, like those are kind of fun because they're quick. Like they're quick and the action is packed in a very short period of time, and that's kind of like the appeal of the skills competition. And
that's like the most exciting part of a game too, right?
Yeah.
Like the speed and shooting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But watching someone sauce,
like it's a difference between watching like an actual exciting power play that generates chances and shots and like snipes, or watching the Oilers power play where they just pass it around for 45 seconds until they lose the puck and skate out of the zone.
Yeah.
It's really really comparable.
You're watching the St. Louis drill where you go from the goal line up to the blue line, across the blue line, and then to a guy swinging around. So it's not exciting.
Yeah. So overall, and the other important part of the skills competition and why it wasn't particularly interesting is the lack of PK Subban type to kind of lead the on-ice interviews with the players. Because this year we kind of got stuck with Scott Oake, and no disrespect to him because he is a highly respected interviewer, and I do genuinely like his pregame stuff. I'm pretty sure he used to do the after hours on Hockey Night in Canada.
Still does that.
He still does? Okay. I like him in those scenarios, but him in like the on-the-ice interviews and interactions with the players during the skills competition was incredibly awkward, and that's not his forte.
One thing I remember, because I was just happened to be passing by TV or something when it was on, is when Matthews took off his jersey and revealed a Marlowe jersey. Shout out to Matthews for doing that. That was pretty funny.
It was really funny.
He said, Scott Oake was interviewing him and said, "Do you have anything to say to that man rocket?" And it was like,
yes,
such a cringe moment.
Like Scott Oake can't pull it off. If it was like a Subban or even Bieksa, like someone more with the right persona for that, they could probably pull it off.
Bieksa is also someone I wanted to talk about because like I said, I didn't watch, but I saw highlights of some of the plays he made, and he is a really funny guy. And I remember because I live in BC, and I've listened to the Fox radio station. Shout out to the Fox.
Yep, the Fox rocks.
And the Jim O'Neill show, or
Jeff
O'Neill.
Come on.
Yeah, sorry. I listen to this radio station all the time. So Jeff O'Neill show, Scotty would interview Kevin Bieksa all the time.
Yeah.
And he would say some funny shit.
Yeah.
And I remember like the one time a guy was interviewing who he thought was Ryan Kessler, and it was actually Kevin Bieksa. Have you ever seen that?
I think I probably have. It sounds familiar, but there's so many of those random videos that have come out.
Can't remember if it was during a cup run or what, but some news guy was in like the Canucks dressing room.
Oh yeah, I remember
and he
now.
thought he was talking to Ryan Kessler. So clearly a guy who doesn't know shit about the Canucks or whoever. And he was interviewing him about playing in the Olympics in Vancouver, I think. And Kevin Bieksa he just like ran with it.
Yeah,
like he was Ryan Kessler. And he said like, yeah, I love playing in front of American crowds. You know, they're so much better than Canadians. And he just kept saying that, kept repeating that, how much he loved America, not Canada. And man, yeah, he's just such a funny guy. You know, and like you mentioned Scott Oake After Hours, he's done a bunch with Kevin Bieksa. He even done one this season, and Bieksa's not even playing. And
yeah,
I think Bieksa, if he wants it, he could become a commentator. I think
Totally.
a lot of people in Vancouver would love for him to come back out here.
I think so too.
Also, he would be replacing probably John Garrett, who a lot of people don't like. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't watch Canucks games, but I know lots of people don't like John Garrett. So it'd be funny to have Juice back.
Yeah. And the other thing too is everyone kind of has this weird balance between hockey players being boring and hockey players coming out of their shell a bit. And there's no like good middle ground for that, because as soon as a player does start to be a bit more outgoing or come out of their shell or like just be a little bit more open with the media, they immediately kind of get shunned or looked at kind of weird because they're not fitting that hockey player mold. So you get a guy like Bieksa who's coming in, or PK Subban as well, who are way more comfortable in front of the camera, and they'll be a little bit more funny, joking with actual personality. And it's huge to kind of getting the rest of the players' personalities to shine through.
Oh, yeah.
Like you look at guys interacting with Subban, or interviews on Spit and Chicklets, or just talking with guys who are more outgoing and funny and stuff. And it lets their personalities shine, the players, because they're more comfortable, they're more open, they'll joke around a bit, and you get to see some of the actual jokes and humor that these guys have.
Yeah, which will lead to more jersey sales and shit like that.
Oh yeah, and it helps huge with marketing your players.
Yeah, and it's always a joke online, like the NHL fans, like, we want more personality in our players, and then a player will say something, no, not like that.
Yeah,
That's
or
not what we
like
meant.
goal celebrations. Oh,
Yeah.
we want our guys to have more personality, be more outgoing on the ice. Someone celebrates a goal, and
we don't want that.
rips on them.
We want something different.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
there's a weird balance in there, and I think it's good for the league and good for the players to kind of have some of these guys like Subban and Bieksa to be a bit more on the media side, and help some other guys kind of come out of their shell a bit.
So speaking of commentators, another one I wanted to bring up is Pierre McGuire.
Oh no.
Because, again, I did not watch the All-Star game, but I saw a clip, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember the female player who it was.
Kendall Coyne Schofield.
Oh, it was Kendall Coyne?
Yeah.
Okay. So Kendall Coyne, well, I guess we should just bring this up in general first.
Yeah, so awesome, like really cool addition to the NHL All-Star game this year was having Kendall Coyne Schofield participate in the fastest skater competition. So Nathan McKinnon couldn't participate, and he recommended to the league to let her take a spot.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, awesome to see, and like she killed it.
Yeah, and they actually let 3 other women come in and be demonstrators.
Yeah, so turns out that's actually something they did last year too.
Really?
They had, yeah. Obviously it wasn't publicized or anything at all because I didn't really know about it. But apparently this is the second year they've had some female players there as well.
Oh, well, props to the league for that.
Yeah.
However, that being said, so Kendall Coyne is fast as shit.
She is.
Yeah, so
she just ripped out there.
McDavid still won, which, I mean, it's not even fair. But to any men in the league, like, it's
not fair to
fair to them. So,
but there was a dude in the AHL who just beat McDavid's time. So
but can he do the shit that McDavid does at full tilt?
That's the comparison.
Because I saw that a bunch of the guys in the AHL were faster than like anybody but McDavid. But again, it's the speed and the talent with
Yeah.
the puck, like the puck handling with speed.
So it'd be cool to get a more expanded puck control event that shows speed while handling the puck, not
That
just
would be
skating
unreal.
fast.
Coast to coast.
Yeah.
Going around obstacles or something. But yeah. So continuing on with the women being involved. So one of these women, what was it,
Brianna Decker.
Yeah. So Brianna Decker was demonstrating, air quotes, demonstrating the passing challenge,
Mm-hmm.
which again I didn't see it, but by all accounts I saw was very challenging.
Oh,
This
yeah.
passing challenge, and so she was kind of showing like what it was to everybody in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on TV, and it wasn't publicized.
Yeah. And
So it wasn't like officially timed or something.
So
at the time.
it wasn't an official run according to the league.
Yeah.
They didn't time it like with their actual technology stuff.
So somebody released a video online saying that it was actually faster than the eventual winning time, 69 seconds.
Nice.
From Leon Draisaitl.
Dry saddle.
Yeah. He's got a really dry saddle. So, yeah. So the time on the video was alleged to be faster.
Yes.
Cue public outcry.
Yep.
So the winner of this passing challenge, Leon Draisaitl, he ended up getting $25K.
Yep.
For winning this challenge. And people online were upset, as they always are.
To say the least.
So they wanted Draisaitl to give that $25K.
Hashtag pay Decker.
Yeah, to Brianna Decker. And they were spamming his everything.
Yeah.
And people were just really mad.
They were
thought
going on
that Brianna
Draisaitl's social
Decker
feeds.
deserved to win. And then it came out that the NHL actually had an official time for her run, and it was longer.
Yeah.
Than Dry.
It was like
it was
3
still
seconds longer.
faster than everybody
Oh
else.
yeah, she was still like a very, very clear second.
So the video that someone posted online had a couple seconds cut off or something.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is one of the cameras at some point caught most of Decker's run, and the video that whoever, I don't know where the original one came from, but wherever it was posted on Twitter and eventually spread, it had about 6 seconds cut off. So it started mid-run.
And it was like a cell phone video from across the rink behind the other goalie net.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know
So it was
that.
like really far away in the
Yeah.
arena.
I thought it was like one of the TV cameras just aimed at the ice and
it
caught
was
it.
like a fan in the stands
Okay.
was filming with their phone.
So even worse.
So this passing event was in one of the defensive zones, and someone was filming in like that team's offensive zone, like across the rink, behind the net, filming it.
Okay.
So, not that makes much of a difference, but it's just like he didn't know when it was starting because he's so far away,
Yeah.
and they didn't have an official timer like on the jumbotron or anything. So anyway, so people wanted Dry to give $25K to Decker because he's a guy who makes what, $8 million,
Yep.
8.5 or something,
Something like that.
and Decker makes what, like 10 grand or something.
That would be on the high end.
Yeah.
I don't know which league she plays in.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw highlights from Kendall Coyne, and she lights it up.
Mm-hmm.
She pretty much just
Oh, well, I
it's
mean,
like
going
minor
back
hockey
to
looking, like just, when you have like that dominant kid on your team and you just go through everybody. That's what it looked like. She's so fast and so good that she just blows by everybody. Like, I don't need teammates. Just give me the puck. I'm going to score.
Yeah, I absolutely remember watching her in the Olympics.
Yeah,
Because I remember the commentators talking about how fast she was, and then seeing her on the ice, and she's just blowing down the wing past everybody.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, there's nothing. I don't think Dry has even commented on this, and he doesn't even need to.
I doubt it. I don't know why
so-
they were going to his social feed. It's not like it's his fault
Yeah,
to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that everyone blew it way out of proportion before they even had like an official word on it.
yeah,
Because ultimately the league had to step in and be like, hey, we have like a video of it. It's actually longer.
yeah.
So all of this was now for nothing.
But that being said, though, like having a demonstrator, air quotes again,
Why?
it's setting yourself up for this
Yeah.
exact situation where demonstrators actually better. I mean, I know she wasn't, but she was damn close. And she beat everybody else in the competition.
Yeah.
So why set yourself up with this and then not reward them?
And why not have the demonstrator be on the TV as well?
Yeah.
Like, that's where most of the people are.
Like, if you're trying to promote inclusion and women, why not showcase their talent as well?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole purpose.
It's what it's for, and like
they're there for that.
Yeah.
And to limit that to the people in the stands is pretty dumb.
And like, why they're there, they're ready to participate, they're actively involved on the ice.
Like, they're doing it anyway, so it's not increasing the time of the event.
Yeah, all it's doing is decreasing the amount of random panel interviews.
Yeah, which again,
they had plenty of those because they were doing those interviews over the events already.
Yeah,
like, you can cut that back. So
eventually, the NHL, I don't know if this was already planned out or not, but they donated $25,000 US in the name of these 4 women to their charity of their choosing. And my personal opinion is, why not give that $25,000 to those women directly when you're giving those winnings for these different events to players who make millions of dollars, when these women make like $10,000?
It's somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000.
Maybe there's some NHLPA thing involved.
I have to imagine that there's probably a salary, like, because they're not officially part of the league, that it's difficult to pay them for it, or just some weird
but
legal
at the same
thing.
time, especially for Kendall Coyne, because she was on TV doing her run, she was in the event.
Yeah, she might be entitled to something.
That is labor.
Mm-hmm.
Because the league is making money off of the advertising and shit while she's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So she should be entitled to something. And then the other women were on the screen at various times, and I don't know if they had panel interviews and whatnot, but like, their likeness is being used in the NHL.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had to sign some waiver or something that says, like, we consent to whatever.
Yeah.
But it just seems weird that,
I think
they wouldn't get any money. And then silver lining for Brianna Decker is CCM, the hockey company owned by Adidas, gave her $25,000.
Yeah, so they paid her out for that anyways. I think she is one of their athletes. She's
I
part
was
of their
curious
team,
to see if she was already sponsored or not, but I mean, regardless, that's pretty cool. And I mean, it's just a karma move from a company. Like, you gain that goodwill of people and good PR. So
and
I mean, it's just a write-off. It's not that much money in the grand scheme of
not for a giant company,
multi-million-dollar, perhaps billion, I'm not sure, dollar company. So I mean,
I kind of think that it missed the mark. It was kind of just giving to charity in any case is good. That'll fix everything that just happened this weekend. And you've got, I think it's just a little bit off the mark a bit. But
for CCM or for the league?
Oh, for the league paying out. My bad. I didn't explain that. For the league's giving to charity in the name of the players instead of kind of compensating them, I guess.
Yeah,
but ultimately,
strange.
I think I have to imagine that it's probably going to end up going to some pretty worthwhile causes to helping.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Probably youth hockey, youth female hockey players. So I think it'll end up being used for a really good cause. So that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And one last thing about this, I commented somewhere on Twitter, I can't remember, replying to a post that this year, and especially with Kendall Coyne Schofield competing in the one event, that it's a good start for the NHL to kind of work towards a partnership or integrating some sort of affiliation, in a sense, with the NWHL and CWHL.
Yeah.
That, maybe even next year there's some competitors from those leagues in every event.
That'd be pretty cool.
And I think like that'd be a great way to showcase that, hey, these female players are just as talented as the guys. And I think it'd just be a great show of support for growing the women's game, which, it'd be nice to give it a boost, because outside of the Olympics, it doesn't get a whole lot of attention.
Definitely not. And there's like the 2 different leagues, which is just a shame.
Yeah,
that
it's hard.
They can't consolidate under one name, and they're splitting the talent up and the money up and the viewer base up.
Viewers, sponsors.
It's really a shame.
Yeah.
And it should be fixed up. And I mean, I don't know if the responsibility is with the NHL to do something, but
I don't think
it would be cool and a good move, and to grow the game, I think a necessary thing.
Yeah, it's hard to justify it from the NHL's perspective right now because they're not going to make any money off of it, and in fact, it would probably cost them quite a bit of money. But I think, maybe a social responsibility thing, or seeing it as a long-term investment.
Yeah.
That there's a whole lot of growth potential for that side of the sport.
Yeah, because you're not ignoring 50% of the population by just having men compete, but 50% of the population isn't playing, or not. They can't get to that level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's strange. I think it would be beneficial to the game in general.
Totally. And
to do
there
that
was,
for women.
I think her name was Natalie Spooner, did an interview on Tim and Sid where she talked about how, especially for us growing up in Canada, we idolize hockey players. We grow up with favorite hockey players. You want to imitate them on the ice and be like them.
Yeah.
And growing up, for us, that's entirely men. That's, for me, it was Ryan Smith, Doug Waite, those guys.
Yeah.
And it's kind of awkward or weird from a perspective of a kid that, you got, who do the female hockey players aspire to be?
Haley Wickenheiser.
There you go. And it's
Cassie Campbell, Pascal.
And it would help, both sides really, because sure, you can have any, and this was the part she emphasized, that you don't have to limit it to just having the young female players idolizing women hockey players. That the guys can do it too. They can get involved. They can support them. They can cheer for them. They can see that girls are just as good as the guys.
Yeah.
And this girl in my class plays hockey too. Like,
yeah,
just like me.
One of the best players I ever played with growing up was a female.
Yeah.
She was dominant. She would hit and stuff, and it was awesome. She was really good, better than me, and she was good. I've played with guys who suck, girls who suck, guys who are awesome, and girls who are awesome. It's just, if talent's there, it's there. So
yeah.
And come to Canada during Olympic female hockey games, people are just as pumped up about that than they are with men's Olympic, especially last Olympics.
Oh, that was the premier event for the whole tournament for most people.
I was more fired up about the women's hockey than the men's, because the talent was, I don't know. There was familiar people with the women, whereas the men, it was
guys that
you might have heard of a couple of them, or you haven't heard from them forever, like Lapierre,
Gilbert Brulé.
Yeah, so guys who were in the league, but not all-stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the women, where you have, all sorts of familiar women. So it was cool. And yeah, I want to jump off this and get back to how we got on this topic with Pierre Maguire. So
right.
I'm not letting them get away with this.
Yeah.
So Pierre Maguire was a rinkside reporter, on the ice reporter.
Yeah, he was doing on ice interviews after the event.
I knew exactly what I'm talking about. So he was passing by Kendall Coyne, I think, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was passing by Kendall Coyne right alongside the bench, and he there was no need. He just grabbed her waist and caressed her hockey pants and slid by her. It was so
just awkward,
weird and gross. Why do you have to do that? And I'm not saying that he's doing this just to women. It's just
Pierre
how
Maguire.
he is.
Yeah, it's Pierre Maguire. This is not just something he does to certain people. He does this to literally everybody. Yeah,
like the thing with who was it? The guy on TSN where
Dutchie.
he said,
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
where he's standing an inch from his chest, saying
"You got a big stick." Yeah, he's just such a weird guy, and I was just to see it on a woman. You realize how dangerous that is.
Oh, totally.
Because that's on live TV, and
I actually did see that live.
You have a guy groping a woman as he passed by her. It's what the fuck?
I think the intention of what he was doing is that she was stopped at the bench talking to the guys after her run. He was skating by her to direct her to the interview spot. there is no need for him to grab her where he did. You can just as easily say, "Hey, Kendall, over here," tap her on the shoulder.
Yeah,
point.
there's so many different ways you could do that than
Like,
to like
there's
grab
no need.
where her ass would be. Like and just like the way he touched, like the way he moved
The way
his
he
hands
grabbed.
was just gross.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, please stop here.
Yeah, and like this didn't really get any attention, so I don't think it's as big of a deal as it actually is. It's just it looked really, really weird.
Yeah, it's just not cool.
Yeah,
It's not a
and
good look.
No,
Like,
it's not.
If you're gonna include women, which is like a
Essential.
really great thing, really good,
It's
and
essential,
it's a great,
really.
great move.
Don't put Pierre
Don't
Maguire
put Pierre
on the
Maguire
ice.
out there because he's just such a creep.
Yeah,
He's a creep with guys. Like,
yeah,
oh, these fans still love you, Jonathan. Like, yeah, that's good. That's awesome. He's just such a creeper.
yeah.
He's always making weird comments and
He's all getting up close and personal with people. And
Yeah.
it's just awkward.
it was really bad.
So,
That was
Not a good
that
look.
was cringe.
Yeah.
That was by far worse than anything.
I can live with
else.
Scott Oake,
Yeah,
but I can't
Scott
live with
Oake-
Pierre Maguire awkwardly
Scott
grabbing,
Oake saying "man rocket" and other things. I'd rather that than
Yeah.
like a half second of Pierre
grabbing someone by the
grabbing-
waist for no reason.
playing grab ass out there.
Yeah,
It was weird. I'm just surprised it wasn't Crosby, to be honest.
yeah. Actually,
It would have been more in his wheelhouse if it was Crosby.
if it was, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Another thing that you mentioned that you wanted to bring up is the puck and player tracking.
Yes.
So,
I thought that was
I
kind of
haven't
cool.
seen any of it. So what
So-
was it all about?
Basically, what happened for this All-Star game, they put, I believe it's like an RFID chip in the player's shoulder pads, and
Okay.
they had one in the puck as well. And this allows the league to identify which player is which on the ice. So you get like a little floating
Oh.
name bar over the players. And it monitors the puck location, puck speed. They can put a puck trail on.
Oh.
And it kind of watches like player time on ice and where they are, which zone they're in, and like zone time. And, skating speed, if I can actually say that. And overall, it was a really cool little addition.
Now,
They completely overdid it, just kind of trying to use every single feature at once,
of
understandably so,
course.
as they're testing it. But going forward, I think that's going to be a really cool little feature to kind of get some stats and some data just of what's going on the ice.
is that what they were using for like fastest shot, fastest skater? Do you know if they were using
No.
that tech for that?
I don't think they were. I think they were using their traditional radar gun and like whatever speed radar thing for the fastest skater.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think this was just for the All-Star game.
I saw in Europe, in some European leagues, they have that technology already being used, and it's pretty cool to see. Like you can break it down for like team distance traveled,
Yeah,
and like
and that's another thing
individual
they were doing
players
is
distance traveled and like top
Yeah.
speed, and it's pretty cool.
stuff like that. And it kind of gives, I don't know, we all like stats as fans, so it's kind
Yeah.
of cool.
Just more stats.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is that during an intermission interview, Ron McLean asked Gary Bettman where they were at with using this technology for goal reviews, specifically
Ah.
high sticks and if the puck's actually fully over the goal line.
Hmm.
And Bettman was very quick to say it's not there yet,
Yeah.
indicating that they're very
They're
hardly
interested.
working on it, but it's not quite there yet due to inconsistencies with like where the stick is and like
right.
accurate locations, because
How the puck is oriented and whatnot.
yeah, just orientation and specific location, because like they've got it pretty close already, but it's not quite ready to roll out.
Wonder if they could do like offsides as well.
Probably could. If they've got it working on one line, then they can probably have another one,
Yeah.
which that'll be nice, because I mean you already see that type of thing in soccer and tennis with kind of the computerized reviews to determine if the tennis ball is out of bounds or the soccer ball's
Yeah,
crossed the line.
For lack of a better term, ball tracker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that'll be nice to get a better indication whether it's removing this kind of parallax camera angle stuff.
Going off on a tangent here just a little bit. Pet peeve of mine is when you're listening to an American feed and they say that play was offsides. Have you ever noticed that?
I don't, because I genuinely say both offside and offsides.
I say offside, and that's the only thing I've ever heard. Like, blow the whistle, offside, right? Not, and like offsides is like plural.
Yeah,
So like
I see.
there was
I
a
know what
lot
you
of
mean.
offsides in the game, hey?
Yeah,
But like that play was offside. If you're watching an American feed, they'll always say there's an offsides challenge or like the play was offsides.
Hmm.
It bugs me so much.
I
'Cause
honestly, I
I've
say
only
both.
ever heard offside.
Yeah,
Stop, like full stop. And now that I'm watching a lot of American plays, and it's not all of them, it's just certain people.
yeah,
I think it might be because of football.
maybe.
Football, they say offsides.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's
it
probably
just-
it then. Like, just
I
what
don't
you
know
grew up
why
watching.
it bugs me so much. Every time I hear someone say that, it bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah,
And yeah, anyway, that was my little.
I'll just continue saying both and see if it ever gets caught.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
So
I can't stand it.
So I think that's probably about all with the All-Star game. Talked about that for quite a while.
Yeah, I guess we'll move on to last week's big news, which was
Peter
drum
Chiarelli.
roll.
Bye.
Yeah.
The Oilers fired GM and President of Hockey Operations Peter Chiarelli during the second intermission of the Oilers game versus the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, so leave it to the Wings to break a team.
Yeah, really.
Bottom. Actually, it was Jeremy Roenick.
Technically, yes, after his insane rant about what the fuck are the Oilers doing.
I mean, he
How
was
are they a
not
team?
wrong.
Yeah, he really
Yeah,
wasn't too far
like
off.
Ottawa is a team.
Ottawa, Edmonton,
Edmonton.
kind of is a team.
Got to get that joke in every single
Yep.
week. But yeah, so I mean,
It was a long time coming.
I
to be
feel
honest.
the writing was on the walls, and a lot of people were saying like the day before even that
Yeah.
they feel like Ryan Mershog said
Well,
that.
that was like an hour before it got announced.
Oh,
Because
okay.
like it wasn't official, but then after the game, it started leaking out in Edmonton media people that the writing's on the wall. Basically, like you said, like I expect a decision to be announced within the next day or so, and it turns out within like 2 hours it was announced.
Yeah, because it was announced at like midnight or something.
Yep.
Our time, Pacific time.
And well, actually, like they started tweeting all this stuff out, and then it turns out that they had already fired him, and it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah,
So-
and I also was watching Sportsnet, and because they were talking to Brian Burke about what it's like to be fired and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that the decision was made before the game.
Yep.
And then they just fired him during the game so that he could like leave quietly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it said, is that they gave him a chance to get out of the arena without making too much of a fuss.
Yeah. So I wonder if there was any like shots, like camera shots up to like the press box, and there's nobody there. Did you
I'm
notice
actually
that?
surprised. I'm actually surprised they didn't have any. Usually, like you get the occasional shot up to the press box, unless they were directed not to.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, they were talking to Brian Burke, and he was saying like how shitty it is basically, and how
Yeah.
you like go into like incognito mode. You turn on incognito mode, and
Basically,
wear like a hat
mm-hmm.
and then sunglasses or something. So
disguise.
yeah, at this point, I'm not sure where he can go.
Yeah, it's really hard because I don't think entirely everything that's happened is his fault in Edmonton. He made in my opinion, two very questionable trades that are going to be his legacy of what he's done there. But when you take a look at what the team without those trades would have been, and it's kind of like, yeah, the forward depth sucks now, but the defense and goalie would have been even worse without that.
Yeah, there was that TSN Instagram post.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they tweeted it and stuff, and it was the depth of the team without Chia's signings.
And it
or
was basically
trades.
our defense would have been
And yeah, you had
Clefbaum.
Taylor Hall and you had Everly still, but then you had no defense, and your goalies were their guys like it was like Scrivens.
Scrivens and
And then
Brossois.
Yeah, so I mean Brossois doing okay now, but
Yeah.
Scribbles isn't even in the NHL.
Yeah, and I mean the defense was something like Clefbaum, Ethan Bear,
Yeah, so rookies and
Brandon
Clefbaum,
Davidson, Evan Bouchard,
the seventh D-man guy.
like a bunch of guys who aren't on the team now. Like they aren't good enough to be on the Oilers right now.
Yeah, so but I mean
So-
like, yeah, his legacy is definitely like some.
It's going to be the Reinhardt
some-
and the Eberle trades, and because this is the highest profile, the Taylor Hall one, which I still don't think was as bad as everyone says.
I mean, comparatively, it's not as bad, but I think it's still bad. I think the Lucic signing is up there
true.
as well.
That's going to be up there, yeah.
I mean, he's lighting up 2019.
Oh, totally.
But
no,
I mean, if he doesn't keep this pace, it's still. Even if he does keep this pace, it's not good.
Yeah.
So
he basically, his main issue is that he has this really, really weird ways of valuing players, that he puts way too much emphasis on potential, and he's got this weird fetish for players who are struggling in one spot and giving them a fresh start in another, as well as taking a player who's never performed past his current role and expecting them to go into a bigger role and just to roll with it and produce in that role.
Yeah, that's never
good. That's basically one of the main things that happened after the playoff run in 2017, that we had wingers, and suddenly he didn't sign a whole bunch of them, got rid of a whole bunch of them at once, and all of these third and fourth line wingers were suddenly expected to be first and second liners. And then when that didn't pan out, it's kind of like, well, you just got rid of all of the wingers, so of course it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's
and
not good.
Overpaying for potential, where
you can't do that on everybody.
Yeah, and
do that on maybe one guy.
Yeah, I mean,
one or two guys.
If they show potential and they aren't currently falling down the prospect ladder of their respective organizations, like overpaying for Reinhart, overpaying for Strome, stuff like that, just you can't deplete value like that in every single trade you make.
Yeah, like, I mean, like we talked about Nikita Zaitsev earlier, like that's one guy on the roster that they overpaid for potential.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they have some room to play.
Yep.
But if you do that with, you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that you do that with, like that's a lot of money that you don't leave yourself
not even
to play with.
Not even just the money, the value in your assets. Because they did ultimately a lot of the value depletion overpaying was in prospects, in trades, not overpaying prospects.
Right.
And contracts and stuff. Like the overpayment mostly came in Lucic.
And the overpayment, the more you do that on your team, the less guys you are going to be able to move out for a reasonable trade.
Exactly.
Like Lucic, right? So say they wanted to get rid of him, but the contract he's on, no one's going to want to take that off
so
unless you retain 50%.
Basically.
So then
they're stuck either with a very long and expensive buyout or retaining 50% salary for years.
Yeah. So, like we said, the writing was on the walls, and he was in full desperation, save my job mode.
Yeah.
Push for playoffs.
And basically, he had his chance. Every single other part of the organization got overturned or tested or changed or whatever. That he was kind of the last part of that. So now it's his turn, and there's still a lot of the same old boys club within the team, and they've got a huge issue somewhere in that organization.
Something in the water.
There must be.
It must not be me though. It must be everybody else.
Yeah, like it's really weird how going back to like 2009, 2010 when the first rebuild started. It's the same issue year in, year out, where you don't know what team you're going to get any given day. Yeah. That you don't know if you're going to get the team that looks like they're half in the game and half in like the press box, just chilling because no one's really doing anything. Yeah, no one's doing anything on the ice, and that's been an ongoing issue for better part of a decade now.
Yeah, that's tough.
But to give Peter Chiarelli and his group one positive, it's that for the first time since before I can even remember following hockey, that the Oilers have had a decent prospect pool coming up from the minors. That our drafting, scouting, development for 15 years, like 2000 to 2015, god awful. Like we did not get any prospects coming up from the minors. We didn't even have a farm team, like officially our own farm team for a decent portion of the first part of the last decade.
Really?
Yeah, it was either we didn't have
one. Is it
one.
now Bakersfield?
No. In the early 2000s, the Oilers shared with a couple of teams. They ended up, I think they shared with Montreal for a few years, so they never actually had a farm team.
Huh.
And going back to when these rebuilds first started, our only prospects were the first, or like the high first round pick. Anyone picked after that in like the second, third, fourth, fifth rounds, they never even saw action. They
The
never
number
got
one
anywhere
guy.
close.
That's all you need, though. You need the first overall.
Exactly. But, how do you...
Then you have one not pan out, like Nail Yakupov, and then you're fucked.
Basically. And for so long, you don't have any organizational depth. And the only way you can acquire those players after that is trading or signing them in free agency. And suddenly you're getting expensive free agents and having to keep giving up assets you don't have to fill roles that you really should be able to fill yourself. So when Chiarelli and his crew came in 2015, they basically started with absolutely nothing but Connor McDavid and like 4 top prospects. The rest of the organization was expensive free agent signings, aging guys, random people who aren't even in the NHL anymore, and no prospects. So now we have a handful of guys in the minors in the AHL that there's just an article today from the Edmonton Journal that said, for the first time in ages, the Oilers have an AHL team led by young players, not random 30-year-olds they signed in free agency.
Yeah.
And even in the minors and over in Europe, there's a handful of guys, too, that are playing very well. So what you can expect to see is a couple more years of kind of mediocrity while this depth kind of works its way up the organization, and then you'll finally start to see a bit of a feeder system in Edmonton, where as long as they keep drafting and scouting like they have been in the last few years, they should have that depth fixed in a couple seasons.
I hope they do it fast, because I don't want to see McDavid be on a shit team for his whole career.
Oh, trust me, neither do I. I want to see him be able to put up 130 or 140 points while he's still able to.
Yeah. So I hope they turn it around, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it in one giant timeline, it just looks like 10 years of shit. But you kind of have to look at I think we're now on the 5th GM and 10th coach or something, 8th or 9th or 10th coach.
Yeah.
That this is basically 4 or 5 separate rebuilds that just never saw the peak afterwards.
I saw a comment on Reddit, and it was, some of you have never had your team be shitty for a decade, and it really shows.
It's hard, but
tough to...
Basically, I'm just stubborn at this point that like I don't want to give up now and then have them be really good and then look like a dick when I follow them again.
Well, no wonder you become such a hockey fan.
Basically,
because it'd be tough to watch just one team with it being being so struggling.
Oh yeah, I've turned in from an Oilers fan to a general hockey fan with a soft spot for the Oilers, where it's like they're still my
preference.
Team. Yeah, they're still my team. I still watch every single game, and I'm still gonna follow them like day in, day out. But it's kind of like I need to follow other teams as well because it's kind of sucks to never see anything good.
Yeah, I know the Caps have lost like 6 in a row, and it's tough to watch.
Cry me a river.
Yeah, it's real hard.
6 games? Damn, dude. Must be a tough 2 weeks.
It really has been. I guess final note, now that I brought up the Capitals, because I can't go...
Broke the ice.
Can't go a week without bringing up Ovechkin. So Ovechkin tied Sergei Fedorov for the most points as a Russian-born player.
Which is very impressive.
I didn't write down the point total because I'm retarded, but so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm sure Sergei Fedorov is pretty proud of him. Played with him in Washington.
Yeah.
It's
it's a pretty cool milestone for OV2, being like the most iconic Russian player of our generation to start getting some of these honors for his impressive career.
Yeah. And I remember growing up watching Sergei Fedorov, and he was so dominant, and he's just such a good all-around player.
Yeah.
Could go back on defense if you needed to. And
he played every position, basically.
Played everything. Solid defensively, solid offensively. Just a guy that could do it all.
Yeah.
do it all well. So it's cool that Ovechkin tied him. My guess would be more goals, more goals than assists, and I'm not sure how they would stack up for like amount of games played, because Fedorov played in a time when you could get more goals, and also in the dead puck era a little bit. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but pretty cool.
Yeah, congrats to Ovi on that milestone.
Another milestone. It seems like every week there's an Ovechkin milestone.
Kind of at that point in his career where he's establishing himself as one of the all-time greats, really.
Yeah, definitely one of the GOATs. And yeah, I guess that kind of caps things off. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to bring up?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
No, I think that was most of the big stories for the last week or so. All-Star game, Peter Chiarelli covers most of it.
Yeah, so maybe there'll be a few more trades coming up. Now
never
that
know.
Toronto's kind of
Broke the ice.
got their man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they'll be playing with anybody else now because they kind of spent their load, but
A little bit.
unless they move Kapanen or something, but who knows? Anyway, I guess that wraps up episode 4.
Thank you all for listening. Make sure to keep up to date following us on Twitter. We've got Instagram and Facebook too. Twitter is where we do most of the action, though, I think.
That's where the action is.
Yeah.
Twitter. All right. Later.